Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all another one of my Cardfight Vanguard video discussions. Today, I'll be talking about another one of my series that I actually fell off the wire for quite some time, but wanting to pick back up again. These are fun deck ideas for premium format. For those of you that all know, there are two different types of formats in Cardfight Vanguard, being standard format, which we use all the new cards from the up-and-coming V-Series booster packs, and then premium format, which incorporates all the cards from G format and all the older cards with the new standard support. And with some of the upcoming sets, we have some subclans that are kind of getting what you could call generic support with all the new cards they're receiving, but a lot of them are specifically named and can work with a lot of the subclan support from premium format and the G series, just with the form of strides and old subclans as well. So I thought I'd bring a video just on some interesting ideas on what to look out for and what to, maybe want to make for premium format with all these new cards. So let's go ahead and get started. Now with the upcoming ultra rare Miracle Collection set, where we will be receiving Gold Paladins, Angel Feather, and Neo Nectar, we have plenty of subclan support in these sets. With the first one, Gold Paladins, they receive Incandescent Lion Blonde Ezel as their first, Gold Paladin support for standard format. With that, we have Blonde Ezel being a card that had support in the past in the form of basically different cards that worked with it, grade 2s, grade 1s, you name it. It was mostly generic trigger support, and with the new one, we have the new cards, Knight of Superior Skills, Bowmains, and Knight of Elegant Skills, Gareth, working with the new Ezel to superior ride it and gain access to the Excel circles early on in the game. It's very good because, one, you have the option for the superior ride with this unit, but what's also good is if you have the setup made with Blonde Ezel, your Excel circles made, rear guards formed, it works very well in premium format mixed with the new Ezel support, the new Gold Paladin support, with some of the old cards, including Absolution King, Lion King, Mithril Ezel. This was the Ezel Stride for Gold Paladins at the time. Was used with, I believe, Platinum Ezel, Raven-haired Ezel, you name it. This card, very good for just unlocking units and then searching for cards off of them, calling to rear. This card's always been pretty expensive as well, but I think it's like fluctuated back and forth. But this is definitely one that seems, with the new Ezel being an option for the early superior ride, the Excel circle option, having multiple rearguard attacks for your Gold Paladin. This would definitely be one that would be one to look out for premium format, just for the fact that Ezel already had stride options available to it, and with the new support and the new generic, depending on what you want to run, just mixing it for premium will definitely be worth it in the end. We also have, just for backup support, Raven-haired Ezel. This card is also receiving its own form in the Miyagi Academy booster pack later next year. And with it, I think just for the time being, if you wanted to run some generic support with the Ezel deck, with the Ezel Stride, and the new Ezel we are receiving in the Ultra Miracle Collection set, mixing it with Raven-hair as backup until we receive the new one, which when we receive that one, it would just be even better having two newer Ezels to work with the Stride support for premium format, just making the deck a whole lot more offensive, balanced, and overall just options to deal with Link Joker as well if you go up against those decks. In total, I would say I'd be probably the best backup for the deck, just so you can rely on it. If you wanted to try out the new Sagramore as well instead of the Raven-hair, you could try that. But I think, going pure Ezel with all the Ezel support you can run, like the 12k attacker, some of the new support to mix in with Bowmains and Gareth as well, will definitely be useful for this deck for sure. One of the other decks we're receiving in the booster pack is for the Angel Feather support, and the Vanguard rare for them is Solidify Celestial Zerakiel. Now we are receiving Metatron as backup grade 3 support for the Angel Feather standard deck, but for Celestials, they received a good number of support in this set, just for the Celestial cards in general. Celestials always involved, the damage zone, like most Angel Feather decks, big power numbers, which you can see this Zerakiel form here where if a new card is put into your damage zone this turn, all your units in the front row get plus 3,000 power. And then it also has an effect from the damage zone. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater and this card is face up, you put the top card of your deck into your damage zone and ride this card as stand. More options for just that superior ride, which, you know, Celestials never had before. So it's an interesting take on the deck as well with the protect aspect, and then just mixing in some of the other generic Celestial potential cards like Wild Shot Celestial here with when it's placed from hand. If a new card was put into your damage zone this turn, you counterblast one, call a card from your drop zone to rear, and also just some other maybe rare and common support for the Celestials. I think we have a couple triggers as well for them to mix in for more powerful plays. I know Celestials focus on being a mostly Celestial made deck, but it can still work very, very well with the new support mixed in with the old, just for a new revamped kind of deck as well. And once again, mixing in those cards with the stride support, which I believe Celestials even have their own stride fodder, grade 1s that can be used for the stride cost in the deck, and just mixing it in with the different strides. Like, unlike Ezel, Celestial have multiple strides, which you can mix and match with some of the generic Angel Feather strides as well to make a pure Celestial deck, but have a good number of the new cards from standard format mixed into the deck as well to work with the different strides and the new grade 3, grade 2s, and grade 1s units that we receive for the decks. It's definitely something to look in for and something I'm definitely excited to see. I was always a fan of the Celestial deck out of all the different decks we had for Angel Feathers, just with the playstyle they used and all the different kinds of cards we had available to them. So being able to mix these in for premium format is definitely an idea you might want to look out for. The one I am most excited for, though, is the Musketeer support. I've been a fan of Musketeers since they were released in Blue Storm Armada. They've had plenty of support. Cecilia, the original Cecilia, was always their main grade 3 to begin with. They received some Legion support and also some new cards in G-Series that worked with striding over cards and whatnot. But with the new support in the Ultra Miracle Collection, we are receiving White Lily Musketeer Cecilia as the Vanguard rare of the set, being a force marker deck as well, being able to use force markers for powered up rear guards and vanguard circles, and just with the new effect of Cecilia, which is the Counterblast 1, retire a rear guard, look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, call up to 2 cards from among them to rear, and shuffle your deck. If your soul has a grade 3, call up to 3 cards instead of 2, and 3 units in your front row get plus 10 until the end of the turn. Now this works very well just for the general fact that it plays very similar in the same aspect as what most Musketeer players remember, meaning that they can call units consistently, search out Musketeers, get a full field full of Neonectar Musketeer units to use, and with the new mechanics for the tokens you can call with Musketeers, you have now an extra backup option to use, which you can see some of the other support we're receiving, which that is the stride. We'll move on call and then use, plus plenty of the Musketeers having 10k power now for their grade 2s since they are in force deck, having bigger numbers with it, being able to work with these, and then just other generic power up cards like Rebecca being able to be used to power up some of your units when placed. Means you can hit for big numbers with these Musketeer decks and have consistent call power. Plus we have all the old trigger units and I believe some of the new ones as well for Musketeers, because it is a deck that you want to run as many Musketeer cards as possible when you are using it in premium format. And let's not forget, if you're going to be using Cecilia as your main unit, she received a stride unit back in Fighters Collection 2015, which specifically specified you need if you have a heart with Cecilia's card name, you have additional cards and calling them 2 separate rear guards, which the one thing I always loathed and about the old Cecilia is that she was a 10k. Now you could stride on her, have 25k power, and just wasn't as good as if you were to go over an 11k. But since this Cecilia shares the same name as the old one, you can use it since it has the heart name Cecilia as well. With this one, gaining the full benefit while sticking on a much more powerful Vanguard circle in total, making it much more worth it, and this card much more worth the investment to go into stride wise in a premium deck. With some of the other ones we have for backup support, you can use Legion support in the form of Licorice Musketeer. You can use the Stridon support, which we received in the I believe it was the Try 3 booster pack that received some of the other Neonectar support to use, but that stuff can also be used as backup. You most likely will want the Cecilia unit as your main grade 3 unit to go into with this deck and rely on, but having backup options and just other rear guards to use with this deck, and depending on what build you want to go for, means you have plenty of options to mix and match with this deck. Grade 3 wise, grade 2 wise, I would stick to a good number of the standard cards in this deck. Excuse me, but relying on them, basically for your plays, and then having the grade 3 lineup that you want for consistency can really make this probably one of the overall decks to look out for fun premium decks post ultra rare Miracle Collection. And we have a couple more I want to discuss. I've mostly talking about the new decks that are coming out, because a lot of the old ones, I've seen some support for Nouvelle. If you want to try out some decks with Nouvelle, you can use maybe Cruel Dragon, the old Cruel Dragon, where you can superiorize it fast, then get the new Nouvelle on your Vanguard to set up with some of your new strides as well that you can use for the Kagura support. But a lot of these newer decks we're receiving, and ones like we see here from the Answer of Truth, School Hunter Leopold, it's just more subclan specific cards that you can rely on. Like School Hunter Leopold had its own support. I wouldn't really say too much on the cross ride, but for generic support, if you were to go premium with School Hunter Leopold, you can at least rely on its stride that it received, since it needs a Leopold heart. So having the stride option available to you with all your other ones is just, I wouldn't say mostly a specific deck for Leopold, but you still have the option to go into this stride if you're playing premium with Great Nature and you have this option available to you. But the one deck I am excited to look out for, and glad I still have most of my Hamsuke support, is Pencil Hero Hamsuke, being a triple rare in the Answer of Truth, being able to gain additional effects for the Excel circles, and then being able to call the different Hamsuke cards. Very interested to see this being on the main Vanguard circle for a Hamsuke deck for premium format, being able to use some of the old cards too, like Hamsuke's Classmate, Mechanical Pencil Hammy, just having the generic Power Plus effects for Hamsukes, choosing normal units with Hamsukes from your drop zone and recycling them, which the Pencil Hero and all the other ones are normal units. They're just, V-Series ones that can be used very well with the other Hamsuke support we received from the Genius strategy. Ones being, like I said, Hammy, and also some of the other rivals for Hamsuke like Hamzo. Just having those options for search cards for Hamsuke, which they all work with the 3 since it's the original names for the Hamsukes as well. So being able to use these cards in the deck is just an added bonus and really adds on to the whole fact that people have wanted more and more Hamsuke support. And I wouldn't say it's new support, but it's revamped support for the original Hamsuke line, which can make for a much better deck for sure overall with all these different Hamsuke cards. But that is it for this episode of Fun Premium Decks. I definitely want to do this series more and more as we get different cards. I might even look at some of the older sets that we've already had, like AL4, Champions of the Asia Circuit. I'm sure there's plenty that can be done with Maelstrom, even maybe some with the Pale Moon cards that we received, like Nightmare Doll Alice. I wanted to focus mostly on some of the newer ones up and coming to look out for with this episode, but I'll definitely look back into some of those other ones for sure to see what can be done for episodes. But until then, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, Kira Qualia out.